Welcome to What's Your Problem, where we discuss current issues in distance learning and education.
Earlier this year, the instructional designers visited Orlando, Florida to attend and present at the Educational Technology Conference Anthology Together.
For the final episode of the season, we wanted to share some of our takeaways from this conference through some footage we shot while we were there. Enjoy! I'm reporting live from Anthology Together 2022, and it just so happens that I ran into one of the student panelists that was on the main stage yesterday. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this conference was seeing some survey insights about 4-year and 2-year institutions and how students are feeling about their degrees. And here I just happened to run into a student going to Brown University, Jalen, and I wanted to know a little bit about what your online instructors did to make you feel good about the courses you were taking.
So I had two standout professors who really made online learning more engaging and exciting. The first professor, what she did was she had an asynchronous copy editing course, and when I think about that, that could just be like really monotonous, really boring on the day-to-day. But what she did to make it just more engaging for us students was she designed it to be like a gamified course. And so essentially what that entailed was grouping different students into different guilds, as we called it. And essentially, like, we all had a different role that we were playing based on our preferences. We had 5 different modules throughout the course of the semester, and she basically assigned those to be like our quests or like levels. So me and my classmates were like assigned a different role based on what we said our preferences were. The second standout professor who comes to mind is my professor for religious studies class, and the class was about religious strategies in the civil rights movement. And so essentially for that class, the professor was really stressing the point that it was important to accommodate students' needs. So what he did was he asked us what we wanted to do for the rest of the course assignments after COVID had hit, because this took place in the spring of 2020. And essentially what he did was he did a poll, and based on our input, he decided to change our midterm essay to be a multimedia group project. We could like do a video, we could make a song that was related to the content, we could do anything that was creative in that way. We really enjoyed that class, and for me, I think that has been one of my most valuable learning experiences at Brown, even like before the COVID-19 era. So yeah, those professors I think are really stand out.
It's awesome. I mean to interrupt you, but what it sounds like to me is that the thing that they did that was most useful to making you feel like you're in charge of value is offering a little bit of choice into it, right? You're not being directed constantly. You're able to take part in your education and make it what you need it to be the way you want it to.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for talking with me.
All right.
A standout moment for me from the conference was the keynote address by Academy Award winner Marlee Matlin. She was incredibly inspirational. She's a deaf actress who won an Academy Award, actually, for The Unbearable Lightness of Being, and she talked about all of her career and obviously some of the struggles she had, but also about the people who helped her along the way, including some famous ones like Whoopi Goldberg and William Hurt, and especially Henry Winkler, the Fonz. But she also was like incredibly thoughtful, engaging. She signed her entire keynote address, obviously, and she had a translator speak for her, but all of her emotion, all of her power was there through her gestures, through her facial expressions, and also her words. So it was incredibly inspirational and a really great address.
One key takeaway that I have from Anthology Together is that from a session called creating a safe, trauma-informed, and responsive learning environment. And the speaker talked about making sure you have clear policies in your syllabus, but also throughout your course, and making sure that your rubrics are clear and they're not messy. Also making sure that there's flexibility throughout your course and choice for students, whether it's in assignments or different types of learning activities, but just so that they have choices in how to learn and how to show what they have learned to their instructors. And also she mentioned about sharing your preferred pronouns from instructor and student perspective, and it just creates an inclusive environment for all students, not just those that have a traumatic past. A standout moment for me was when we were in the exhibition hall and the CEO of Anthology, Jim Milton, was walking past, and Jason called him over, and we had this great conversation with him, talking to him about trends in education and what we do at Schoolcraft in regards to using Blackboard and other tools. And he was very impressed with what we do here, and he was even sharing with us some other Anthology solutions that we could implement in the future.
So my favorite session for this past few days has been a session on inclusivity, and it was subtitled "In Exercise and Empathy." And I appreciated that the facilitator started off with going through certain disabilities, simulating what it would be like for students with a vision impairment or an auditory impairment, and allowing us to not only discuss our personal experiences as students, or the experiences of students that have been in other people's classes, but also just facilitating a conversation on how different institutions approach talking to students with a lot of these limitations who aren't getting as much from their classes as they would prefer. So, for example, for one institution, there was a concern, what if we put in captions, and what if we put in all these things? Is that overload for some students who might be neurodivergent? And it was very fruitful kind of conversation to understand these perspectives and people who've had success with it in the past. So I really enjoyed it.
I think my favorite takeaway was the presentation we were able to present at Blackboard, or Anthology together, top 10 Tarantino teaching tips, but essentially a way that we highlighted some of the great things that Blackboard does with Schoolcraft College's faculty. And honestly, it was amazing to connect with all the other educators and instructional designers at the conference, and hear their perspectives and hear how enthusiastic they were about our presentation and ideas it gave them for their own institutions. Well, season 7 is in the books.
Please continue to email us with any ideas you have for future episodes, or just to say hello.
Thanks for watching. We're glad to be back, and we'll see you next year.
What's your problem? What's your problem? I don't get what your problem is.
I've lost Bernadette and Kaylin. I don't know where they went. We were at the conference and now I'm here. This is not unlike the incomparable Blair Witch Project. I think this is why we're not supposed to shoot our own episodes.